If you want to stop having anxiety attacks, if you want to stop worrying and spinning, if you want to be yourself all the time, no matter what the circumstances, then I want you to consider this kind of coaching. Hey there. Oh, itchy nose. Over the years, I've been coaching for 10 years, and I've discovered some trends in my clients. I've been health coaching for 10 years and life coaching for 2. And what happens with most coaching anyway is that you end up with clients that have a lot of similarities. The commonalities that I've discovered are traumas. And it's important now in this trauma-informed age that we live in, which is wonderful, that we really understand what trauma is, because still there is an idea that trauma is just like catastrophic things happening, car accidents, war, and those are what we call big T traumas. But trauma is basically anything that overwhelms the body, that the body cannot handle. Now, here's where it gets good. Because as usual with conventional medicine lacks, it falls behind and never fully addresses everything that's going on in your body. Because, trauma isn't just up here. Trauma ends up affecting your whole body. And it's not just big traumas. We're also talking about relational trauma, talking about childhood trauma. But I'd like to really focus on interpersonal trauma, relational trauma. Those traumas actually come from childhood. Some people call it childhood wounding, which it is, but it still is a trauma in a sense that a child is put in a situation where maybe their parents aren't emotionally regulated, they're reactive parents, or maybe the parent is depressed or has a mental illness and isn't able to care for the needs of the child in a way that a child needs. And as a result, the child's needs don't get met. The child isn't seen, heard, or understood or validated. There isn't any conflict, repair, or resolution after maybe a child does something wrong. There isn't that repair that needs to happen in order for the child to then feel safe and the child's nervous system to get back online. So when, take for instance, like latchkey children. If you're latchkey too young, that's too overwhelming for a young child to have to take care of themselves when they are alone. I like to use my own example that I had a mom who yelled. And I remember her even saying that really upset me even as a young infant, okay, which is, actually a red flag clue. But and that produces a sense of instability and insecurity in a child, because the child then doesn't know when to expect that, and then the child ends up being on pins and needles all the time because they don't know when this scary explosive thing is going to happen, especially from their primary caregiver that in a child's mind should be there taking care of them. So having a mom that yelled was emotionally reactive and couldn't manage her emotions, and there wasn't any repair that happened. She yelled, it was scary, I reacted, and then there was nothing there. I couldn't go anywhere, and that's the trauma. When you can't go anywhere, you can't fight or flight and leave, you're stuck and trapped. So that's one instance. And then another instance is a parent who, I call this top-down old school parenting, where you're not allowed to have emotion. You're not allowed to show emotion. You're not allowed to be angry. And that is denying a child their right to be. So you can see that if you are not allowed to even be, your authentic expression, your worth and who you are is automatically cut off. Your beingness is wrong. And you can see how impactful that would be on a child's development. I've seen this trend in all of the clients that I've worked with over the past 10 years. Most have had some kind of childhood relational, interpersonal traumas that have happened that they're still dragging and are preventing them from really moving forward in their life. Because depending on the state of trauma that you're stuck in, it prevents you from getting out of that state. And you stay in that state, and your body won't let you grow because you haven't healed. And here are a few examples of how this may be the case for you, that you may be dealing with these childhood traumas. If you feel like you need to defend yourself all the time, defend how you feel, defend how you think, defend on what you believe. Or maybe you take things personally. It's all about you. You're still stuck in that developmental state. So you take whatever is said must mean something about you. Or maybe you get overwhelmed. So it seems like you used to be able to do a lot of stuff, but now it seems like you get overwhelmed so much, like you have so much, you've put so much on your plate, or you don't know how to say no because of boundaries or whatever. You seem to get overwhelmed and then you shut down. You want to do stuff, you get overwhelmed, but then you procrastinate, or you get stuck on trying to make things perfect. You get overwhelmed and then you feel this pressure to do something about it, and then you can't. So then you feel bad and you try to toughen up and force your way. If that sounds like you, that also could be a clue. Or if you're just a worrier, you can't shut off your mind. You worry about something in the middle of the night when you're going to bed. As soon as you wake up, your mind goes there. You think that if you worry about it, you can be proactive and troubleshoot in advance the thing that you're worrying about, but it's only giving your mind a temporary sense of ease. If that sounds like you do that, then that also could be a clue. Or maybe you have trouble just making decisions. Maybe you second guess everything and never trust yourself. And that keeps you spinning and ruminating about, should I do this? Should I do that? And then you never do anything because you really can't trust your decision making, and you're afraid of making the wrong decision. If that sounds like you, that could be a clue as well. But here's what I like to think as the Holy Grail. And that is, if someone asks you how you're feeling and you describe it intellectually, you don't name a feeling, you describe like, oh, well, I feel like they really don't understand me. That's describing with words intellectually and not naming a feeling. That's a big clue that you've cut off your emotional feeling world. That's your senses. You've totally dissociated from your body to cope with, because your body is information. Your body has stored emotions, maybe that you weren't allowed to feel, and they're in there building up. But they have so many vibrations and sensations, they send you clues and you don't want to deal with it. So if you can relate to a bunch of those things or any of those things, I want to put it out there that a holistic, functional approach to healing those traumas that are living inside you still and need to come out and be dealt with. Otherwise, you won't be able to progress in your life. I want to put it out there that coaching will help you.